All right, we're moving on here to utility shed part 2. There's a couple, probably split this video up into two, but ultimately we're going to end up here is the goal. We'll kind of add some siding to our shed. We're going to make a door, window, and then start putting it into a drawing. All right, so without further ado, remember, I highly recommend, if you aren't already, also pull up your PLTW website. I showed you how to navigate this in the first video, so if you need help doing that, go back and watch that first one. All right, so here we are. We're modifying the wall type, and we're going to add a siding aspect to it, so it's not just all brick. All right, so here we go. Inside Revit, we are now here. I'm going to kind of change over to my 3D view. And again, I'm going to kind of click on that here. If you also need to, they are built in right here, 3D views under that project browser. Okay, so looking at this right now we only have one brick side, and then the other side right now is just a basic wall. And I believe, I can't remember which I chose now. Maybe brick on metal stud off the top. Let's use that one for now. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and select that for now. And if we want to change this, if it's not listed on the initial kind of list here, we'll kind of make our own is kind of what we're going to do next. So again, select your wall, click right here, edit type, and you'll get this menu to pop up. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and leave this on the side so I can kind of talk you through it. But next up, once we are in this menu, we're going to edit the structure. Okay. And actually, sorry, before we edit the structure, one step back here, we actually want to duplicate it. So we don't want to override the current brick on metal stud. We want to make a whole new wall type. So we'll still call it exterior, and maybe we'll call this one shed wall siding so I can easily find it. Hit OK. And then I'm going to edit the structure. All right, so the main thing I'm going to edit is really this brick on the outside. So to do that, I'm going to come over here and then choose, if you see here, there's when I click on this material, instead of brick, I'm going to click the 3 dots, little button right there. And it'll open up a separate menu right here. Okay, so right now, if I look through here, I might just try to find the material I'm looking for. So I might see something kind of similar. I'm going to open this up a little bit. I see, for example, there's like this wood planks option. If I click on the appearance, I see that looks more like hardwood floor rather than what I'm interested in, which is like a plywood sheathing. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate it and kind of create a new material similar to it, but make a new one. So to do that, I'm coming over here, this drop down right there, click on that button, and then I'm going to say duplicate material and assets. Okay, so right now it's made a new one, and I usually like to duplicate that way. A lot of it's kind of set up, and I'm just changing up some parts. Okay, so for this one, I want this to be siding, and we'll call this siding horizontal wood. Right, from there, you can start playing around with things like the graphics over here. For example, I might keep that. Maybe for the background, I select that, and I maybe want it to look more like horizontal. Maybe we'll keep it large, horizontal, like that. And that way, when I go change the appearance, then I'll see that. Also, under appearance here, right? Right now it's looking more like hardwood floor, right? I typically want this to look more like siding. So the other thing we do, there's this asset browser, this button right here. If I open this up and then come over here to Autodesk Appearance Library, right? And as I look down here, there's one that's actually for siding, but you can see there's a bunch of other things, like if I wanted to look more like a mirror, or if I wanted to do a roofing materials, add stone if I wanted to look like that, so on and so forth. In the future, site work, that's where we'll do things like grass. Okay, but for here, I'm going to click on siding. And the one we'll use is called wood horizontal cedar. So we'll have a cedar, and then double click on it, and it will kind of add that image here so that when I go to the realistic view, it'll look like that. Okay, and I can hit apply or hit OK. That closes that menu out, right? And then from here, I can make some changes. For example, I may not want that wood to be 3 inches thick. It's probably more like half an inch thick, so I might do that. You could revise some of these, like we may not have this air layer. I can delete that, so on and so forth. Okay, we'll keep the plywood sheathing, and I think besides that, we should be pretty good. So I'm going to hit OK. We can hit OK again. Okay, so now, and notice that this wall is now, if done correctly, should be my cedar shed wall siding. All right, and now I want to apply that to my other walls, so I'm going to rotate around. If you want, you can do this in the floor plan view as well. I'm going to select both of those, do this drop down, and now if I scroll over to where I was, I called it exterior shed wall siding. So I can select that now, and it should update that for all of my walls. Okay, so now I've got a front brick facade with shed wall siding. And if you want to see here, if I change that to shaded view, that's where I've got the, what we chose that horizontal pattern instead of the realistic. All right, next up, we're going to place some components. So we got to add some doors and windows. So I'm going to come over here in the top left under architecture tab. I've got the door. Right now it's defaulting to single flush, and there's no other options. All right, this part's going to be a little bit tricky if using Revit 2025, because as of right now, we're having some trouble loading the family, but I will try to walk you through as best I can. Okay, so here's one option of doing that. What we're going to want to do, come back over to Schoology under today's assignment. I made a Google Drive folder. Again, this is not ideal because it didn't pre-install, but for now, if you open up that folder, these are all your Revit family files. So for example, I come over here to doors, and right now I'm going to go residential, and I see there's a few options for exterior door. I'm going to just choose one for now. Entry, single door, I'll do this half arch glass wood option. If I right click on it, hit download, and it should download it for us. I think it downloads, default to my downloads folder under my OneDrive. Okay. So now, if I come back over to Revit, again, I was under place door, and then before I place it, right now it has this interior door. I'm going to come over here to load family, and I'm going to choose from the ones I just picked. So I come over here to my computer. Oh, sorry, it's under desktop. Mine's saved under the downloads folder. Here's the one I just saved. Oh, and I'm seeing here it's actually, this looks like it is only half of a door. Yep, there's a full door. Okay, so I'm going to open up that one. And then to place it, I can see it kind of gives me a preview. I want my front door on the side of the brick. So I can select right there, and in goes that door. I'm also going to take a look at it on my floor plan view, and you can see here, I can drag it around. So let's say maybe I want it more centered, for example. So centered looks like here, 6 foot on each side. I can type in that number if I want to do it that way. If I wanted to rotate like which side the door opens on, or if I wanted to open to the inside, for example, that could be an option. And for mine, to save some space, I'm going to drag it. No, actually, I'll leave it in the middle just for that. All right, so there's my door. All right, the other option, it looks like that, and I'm going to just test this out here, is they also suggested we could do insert, load Autodesk family. All right, and I see there's a bunch of options here, so I can maybe even choose it from here instead. So under door, I've got a bunch of choices here, looks like. So again, single entry, if I load that in here, I can choose the exact size, hit OK, overwrite the existing version, that's fine. And that also is a way I can bring it in. So from there, if I come over here to door, ask me to save the project, come over to door, I see that that option is there with a couple different sizes based on what I picked. Okay, so 2 ways you can kind of load up components depending on your preference. All right, and I think previously they suggested looking at the floor, making sure the floor is all matching. And I am not hating that right now. I think that's not too bad, so we'll just keep that for now. Oh, it does want us to try out the alignment tool. Okay, let's give it a shot. So I'm going to select the floor now. And maybe I'll do it from my floor plan view. Floor plan view, floors chosen. Hit edit boundary. Edit boundary. Okay, and now I see right now the line for the purple line doesn't quite line up to the outside edge. So what we can do is use this align tool. So if you see here, it kind of shows you how align tool works. If I want two things to line up, I select what I'm lining up to what I want. Okay, so in this case, I want to line up to this outer wall, for example. And I want that floor to line up. And it's just doing that nice and clean for me. Again, this one's not super obvious because they're already really close. All right, and now if that's all set, hit the check mark under modify floor. And if I go to my 3D view now, I can see my floor lines up a little cleaner to the outer wall. Okay, so we've got walls, got doors aligned. Also, if you want, you can start adding windows here. So if I come over here to window, again, I can click on load family. If I want to pick it from what I picked earlier, there's a few listed here already, so I can go ahead and pick one of those. Let's say I want a nice big window, a lot of natural light. I'll choose that big one and place a couple of those on the wall shown there. Okay, I'm gonna rotate it around. I'm gonna put a couple on this side too. All right. And again, if you ever want to update dimensions, let's say if I'm looking at it here, I'm like, oh, actually 4 feet, this side's 4 feet. Actually, that one lined up pretty well. Maybe on this side, I'll double check this one. Oh, I want this to be 4 feet. I can update that accordingly after I select one. This one I want it to be 4 feet, things like that. All right. Cool. So I think that might be it for this half of the video. I will go ahead and talk about the drawing in the next one.